Elvis Presley's granddaughter, Riley Keough, is opening up about her plans for Graceland and a promise to her mother.
For over 4 decades, the upstairs of Graceland has remained locked, untouched, unphotographed, and completely off limits. No fan, no journalist, no tourist has ever seen what lies behind that staircase. Until now. In a move no one expected, Elvis Presley's granddaughter, Riley Keough, has broken her silence. What she reveals is not just shocking, it's emotional, personal, and utterly transformative. Hidden rooms, sealed letters, whispered prayers scribbled in forgotten journals. What was Elvis really doing in those final months? And why did his family work so hard to protect it all from the world? This isn't just a story about Graceland. It's a story about memory, legacy, and the part of Elvis Presley the world was never meant to see, the forbidden floor. There's a staircase in Graceland that leads to a place no camera has ever captured. No velvet rope guides visitors up. No plaques explain what's beyond. The second floor of Elvis Presley's famed estate is more than just a locked hallway. It's a sanctum, sealed by family order since the day the King of Rock and Roll took his final breath in 1977. While millions of fans from around the world have walked the halls downstairs, staring in awe at jumpsuits, gold records, and pink Cadillacs, the rooms above have remained untouched, preserved like a time capsule, untouched by time or tourism. Even at the height of Graceland's fame as America's second most visited home, behind only the White House, this one part was never shared. Not even the most devout Elvis historians were granted access. Only a tiny handful of people, close friends, select staff, and family have ever walked those floors. Riley Keough is one of them. As Elvis's granddaughter and now the legal owner of Graceland, Riley grew up knowing what the public could only guess. She didn't just hear the stories, she lived them. And now, decades later, she's ready to talk. It wasn't about hiding something, she said once. It was about holding on to it. But what exactly has the family been holding on to? What lies behind that sealed door? And why now, after all this time, is Riley finally opening the curtain? Inside the time capsule. Walking through the upstairs of Graceland is like stepping into 1977 and never coming back. The air, Riley Keough says, feels still, like time folded in on itself the moment her grandfather died. Elvis's bedroom remains exactly as he left it. The silk sheets still cover the king-sized bed. His reading glasses rest atop a dog-eared Bible. Vinyl records sit beside the turntable, untouched, and the faint scent of his signature cologne still lingers in the curtains. Every item tells a story that never made it into the history books, but it's what's hidden that lingers longest in Riley's memory. A shoebox under the bed marked "Do Not Open," filled with unsent letters, some addressed to Lisa Marie, others to no one at all. In the adjacent study, the walls are lined with dark wood and shelves of worn books on mysticism, theology, and numerology. Here, Riley found notebooks scattered with his handwriting, half prayers, half confessions. One page simply repeats the word "free" over and over again. The bathroom, where Elvis took his final breath, has never been altered. Even the towels remain folded as they were. Riley refuses to speak in detail about it, out of respect, but calls it a sacred space, part of the man, not the myth. Perhaps most mysterious of all is a hidden alcove at the end of the hallway. Riley calls it the quiet room, a space even the public exhibits have never mentioned. With dim lighting, floor cushions, and a vintage sound machine humming softly, it's where Elvis would sit in silence for hours, meditating, grieving, or escaping. It's the most honest part of who he was, Riley whispers. No jumpsuits, no shows, just stillness. But not everything upstairs was peaceful. Riley also found pain medicine bottles, some still full, next to scribbled notes that veered from spiritual reflection to spiraling thoughts. What was Elvis trying to say in his final weeks? What truth was he carrying that no one else could hold? The secret within the silence, beyond the memorabilia, beyond the vintage furniture and velvet curtains. What Riley Keough discovered upstairs at Graceland was something few had ever truly grasped: Elvis Presley's quiet desperation for peace. The world saw the king, the performer, the icon, the spectacle. But behind closed doors, he was something else entirely. A man searching for meaning in a world that never gave him rest. The quiet room, Riley says, wasn't just a meditation space. It was his only real escape. Elvis would spend hours there, sometimes in total darkness, just breathing, praying, or listening to the low hum of the sound machine. No entourage, no music, just silence. And yet, within that silence, Riley found the loudest echoes of who he truly was. One cushion still bore the indentation of where he used to sit. This was the Elvis who had been exhausted by fame, wounded by grief, and paralyzed by loneliness. Riley describes him not as a fallen star, but as a man who had outlived his own mythology and was left trying to make sense of it all. He wasn't running from the world, she says. He was trying to find a place it couldn't follow. And that's what made the upstairs sacred. Not just because of how he died there, but because of how he lived there. Quietly, privately, painfully. For Riley, sharing these insights isn't about unlocking doors, it's about unlocking understanding. Yet, with every answer she gives, a new question rises. What else did Elvis leave behind in that quiet? What unfinished truths are still waiting in the shadows? Debunking the myths, as long as the upstairs has remained sealed, the rumors have never stopped. Some believe it's a shrine, others a secret. But for decades, one theory has echoed louder than the rest. Elvis Presley never died, that his death was staged, and that somewhere beneath Graceland, a hidden tunnel allowed the king to slip away from the world unnoticed. It sounds like a conspiracy novel, complete with secret exits, misidentified bodies, and a lifetime of orchestrated silence. Yet Riley Keough has heard it all before, and now she's addressing it head-on. There's no mystery to solve, she says plainly. Just a pain too deep to put on display. Still, the myths persist. Some fans point to inconsistencies in Elvis's death certificate. Others claim that public documents, like blueprints of Graceland, conveniently omit the second floor and any potential underground passages. In 1987, a man even claimed to have discovered a hidden entrance near the rear carport, though no evidence was ever produced. More sightings followed. An Elvis look-alike boarding a plane under the alias John Burroughs, a name Elvis had once used when checking into hotels. Others swear they saw him at a gas station, a DMV, even an Elvis impersonator show, watching from the back. Riley doesn't mock these believers. She understands that part of her grandfather's legacy is the mystery. He was larger than life, so perhaps it's comforting to believe he never really left. But Riley insists on the truth. The upstairs isn't locked because it hides a secret. It's locked because it holds too much heartache. It's not a puzzle to solve, she says. It's a wound that never fully healed. The Presley family never wanted to erase Elvis's ending. They wanted to protect it. And in doing so, they may have accidentally created the very legends they now have to refute. The lost recordings and hidden legacies. While much of the world has speculated about Elvis's death, others have wondered what he left behind, musically, emotionally, and physically. For decades, whispers of lost recordings have swirled around Graceland like fog that never lifts. Hidden tapes, unfinished demos, entire songs the public has never heard. And if any of it still exists, most believe it's hidden somewhere upstairs, untouched, unheard, waiting. What we know is that Elvis recorded some of his final music not in a studio, but inside the infamous jungle room of Graceland in 1976. Tracks like Moody Blue and Way Down came from those late-night sessions, raw and unrehearsed. But according to sound engineers and former collaborators, not everything was released. Some tapes were incomplete. Others were too personal. Bootlegs have only muddied the truth. Unauthorized tapes claiming to contain unreleased songs have appeared over the years, often with grainy audio and questionable authenticity. One infamous bootleg titled "This Is Goodbye" claimed to be Elvis's final ballad. It was later proven fake. Still, people believe. And Riley understands why. She herself remembers seeing a reel-to-reel recorder in Elvis's private study. Nearby sat a stack of unlabeled tapes, handwritten notes, and a tangle of microphone cords. Archivists have since confirmed that certain upstairs storage spaces remain unscanned, untagged, and entirely analog. Riley is working to change that. Under her leadership, the estate has begun a quiet but focused effort to digitally preserve these personal archives, not to commercialize them, but to protect them. That includes handwritten lyrics, scribbled set lists, personal letters, and, yes, possibly music that hasn't been heard in nearly half a century. He didn't record just to be heard, Riley explains. Sometimes he recorded just to feel something. Whether those tapes ever reach the public is uncertain, but their existence speaks volumes. There may still be echoes of Elvis's voice tucked away in those sealed rooms, fragments of melody, grief, and genius no one else has touched. Chapter 6: Heirs, Ownership, and the Weight of Legacy. When Riley Keough became the owner of Graceland, it wasn't just a matter of inheritance. It was a transfer of weight. A legacy wrapped in velvet curtains, locked doors, and global fascination. After Lisa Marie Presley passed away in 2023, the sprawling estate, both the physical property and the mythic symbol, was placed into Riley's hands. But the transition was anything but smooth. Almost immediately, a legal dispute emerged, with Priscilla Presley, Elvis's former wife and Riley's grandmother, contesting an amendment to Lisa Marie's trust. The courtroom battle wasn't about greed. It was about control, over history, over narrative, over how the king's legacy would be told moving forward. The matter was eventually settled out of court, but it revealed something larger. Graceland isn't just a house. It's a battlefield of memory and meaning, worth hundreds of millions, shaped by contracts, public expectations, and family grief. And in the midst of all this stands Riley, a 34-year-old actress and mother, tasked with protecting something far bigger than herself. She meets with preservation specialists, approves new exhibits, oversees digital archiving, but more than anything, she serves as a gatekeeper between the myth and the man. That includes navigating persistent rumors of secret heirs, individuals who have claimed over the years to be Elvis's children from relationships kept out of public view. Some brought photos. Others offered DNA samples. A few even filed lawsuits. But none have been legally recognized. Riley hasn't commented directly on these claims. Neither did her mother. Perhaps that silence is strategic. Or perhaps it's compassionate. After all, every legend leaves behind shadows, real or imagined. What's clear is that Riley now decides what enters the light. She's not just maintaining a family estate, she's protecting a cultural monument. And, as she often says, some things belong to the public, but not everything. A locked door and an open legacy. The upstairs of Graceland remains locked. No guided tours, no camera flashes, no online walkthroughs. And that, Riley Keough believes, is exactly how it should be. For decades, fans have begged for access, to stand where Elvis stood, to see what he saw in his final days. But Riley has made her position clear. Those rooms are not for spectacle. They are not exhibits. They are memory. And some memories deserve silence more than they do spotlight. In an era obsessed with exposure, this act of preservation is radical. It is, in many ways, the most faithful way to honor a man whose life was lived too publicly, too loudly, too fast. Riley's decision to speak now, not to open the rooms, but to open the story, isn't about answering every question. It's about offering something deeper, understanding. She's allowed us to glimpse the man behind the myth, not through press releases or documentaries, but through grief, reverence, and love. The sacred quiet of the second floor will remain. But through Riley's words, its essence escapes, soft, like the hum of a sound machine, or the rustle of a journal page turned with care. Elvis's legacy isn't frozen in a moment. It lives, breathes, and aches. And in Riley, it continues, not as a headline, but as a heartbeat. If you felt the weight of these revelations, the silence, the mystery, the memories, then you've walked a little closer to the man Graceland still protects. Thank you for watching. If stories like this move you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Because behind every locked door, there's always more to discover.